Right. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mona's Rants. I am your host, Mona Shaikh. It is Wednesday, also known as Humps Day, also known as Happy Weeds Day, because James thinks it's Weeds Day. Every day is Weeds Day, James. What day isn't a Weeds Day? Every day is a Weeds Day, at least for me, and I guess for you too. You guys, I'm very excited about my guest today. He's a returning guest. He's also a really good friend. He's a homie. I adore him. I respect him a lot. He is a fabulous brand new comedy club in Bellflower called the Stand Up Comedy Club. It has not officially opened. I cannot wait for it to be open. And we are going to talk about comedy club, and we're going to talk about live entertainment and how in the middle of the pandemic, when can we expect for comedy clubs to A, open up at 100% capacity, and B, is live entertainment ever going to be the same again? So joining us today, here's my very amazing friend, John Giries. How are you?
Hey, Mona. Always a
Hey,
pleasure. Thanks for
always a
having
pleasure, my friend. Nice to see you. I have had the good fortune of visit your incredible new comedy club, which I cannot wait to be in and perform.
me.
Um, how's it looking in Bellflower? Are you guys a little bit more loose as far as opening up live entertainment, or it's still pretty strict?
Well, we fall into the LA County
Yeah,
guidelines. City's very progressive. City knows what they want to do. They just have to follow what's allowable. Now we have dining, right? Indoor dining's coming back. So I think we're crawling to where we want to be. We're not walking yet, right?
yeah,
We're
yeah,
crawling.
yeah.
But there's a lot of positive signs, I think. There's a lot of things pointing to the right direction, but how fast we get there is a different story.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you're in Bellflower. You and I were talking about you have certain places in your neighborhood that are doing outdoor dining and drinking, and they have a full bar. And I believe, did I understand this correctly? They also have live entertainment outdoors?
They did like early stages of COVID. They had some live music outside. They did have social distancing.
Yeah.
There were some things still going on a small scale. But then we took the huge surge happened, major shutdown, and that kind of went out the window. So
Yeah.
we're just kind of slowly getting back to you know 10% of normalcy. It's going to
Yeah.
take. Like, look at what happened to Disneyland, right? Now they're saying by April, late April, Disney should open 15% capacity. Um, that's a crawl, right?
Right. 50.
That's a
Did you
crawl.
say 50 or 15?
15, 1 5.
That's nothing, John.
Right. I mean, how many people can you fit in the park? And so if that's how things are looking, I personally don't think comedy should have been halted. I mean, if you think about it, comedy is the cure for reality. We're tired. Everyone 9 to 5. What do? We go out for comedy. We log on to Netflix. We search the internet to be entertained.
Yeah.
I think comedy was our one thing to kind of vaccinate us from all this crap, and they took it away. And then all of a sudden, you have all these crazies coming out. A lot of crazy stuff's been going on. I think it could have been handled differently, but I don't think live comedy, because you could have done things to protect people, have them at 20 feet, 30 feet away. Because the
Mhm.
Home Depot, Lowe's, the supermarket, they're not actually social distancing at those locations,
That's
right?
true. That's very true. That's very true. I mean, I've been to Home Depot quite a few times and people are like close to each other. There's no real social distancing. So I agree with you on that. I mean, even when you go to Costco or any of these big places, they're not really doing social distancing.
No, they're not. And but there's another agenda to all that. I think corporate America saw a little bit of a way to make money during this pandemic. So there's been a lot of things that didn't benefit people, but it benefited
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah.
Remember, the companies really, there's a lot of companies that really made a lot of money, but people in general, small businesses, thousands of small businesses, no,
Feeding.
big time.
They're gone.
And so I don't think comedy should have been taken away. Maybe I understand the indoor aspect of it. but they could have had outdoor shows 30
Yeah.
feet away from the public. They could have done some things, but I think comedy took a hit because of the kind of misalignment, misorganization that other establishments did and didn't do that
Mhm.
we did, right? We have to fall in line because other businesses weren't doing their part, right? A lot of restaurants were not doing their proper mandate
Right.
inside, and that kind of created a little bit of a hysteria, domino effect, and that comedy clubs are in aspect a restaurant with a stage. So
Right.
it
Right.
bled into that, and I think unfairly because I think something could have been done differently. So
John, I think about, like, we're in LA. You're a comedy club owner. We're in LA. The weather here permits. It permits. It allows you, because we're lucky to have really good weather. Right now, it's raining a little bit and it's a little chilly, unusually chilly for us, but it allows that. But in places like New York City, in places like London, places where Chicago, they can't do outdoor comedy. How are they going to do outdoor live comedy when it's freaking snowing and it's,
right.
10 below? Like, how the hell are you going to do comedy in that kind of weather? You know?
No, and that's a great point. I think those East Coast venues are forced to do Zoom comedy shows. Which to me, Zoom and drive-in comedy, it's not the medium for comedy. It's not comedy. Live stand-up comedy was not meant to be watched and enjoyed in a car, right?
Agreed. Agreed.
So
Agreed.
we're forced to do things desperately, and I'm all for it. Do what you have to do to feed your families, but I think it's just a band-aid on a bigger issue. And I think
Mhm.
we're going to eventually have to migrate. I think the need for live comedy is starting to grow. Here's the thing about movies, right? Netflix and Disney Plus have seen a surge, 100 million plus subscribers on their platform.
Sure.
People are at home watching content. Why am I going to go to the movie theater? Why do I need to? Now, you can watch comedy on Netflix, but there's nothing like live comedy,
That's right. That's
being
right.
in the zone. So I think in that regard, I think people can't wait to go out and
Yeah.
experience it. But movies, it's going to be a while before movie theaters come back.
I personally think, John, I've talked about this here before. I'm friends with an executive who was at a very big studio, which I will not mention because of her protection. She was the only person of color who was the executive who sat in the executive suite, because everybody was white. And her and I had a conversation about how she told me, she said, this is way before the pandemic hit and everything. And she told me, she was like, look, multiplexes are going to go out of business. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time the multiplexes go out of business, because big televisions are so much cheaper to buy, right? You can have like a surround sound system, which is much cheaper than ever before. You're going to spend, if you're a family of four, you're dropping anywhere between $100 to $130 just taking your family out just to watch a movie. That does not
Right.
include a dinner. That includes tickets, popcorns, drinks, parking. That's it. That's
Right.
all it includes. Okay. And more people are just going to get away from the multiplex aspect and just stay home and save all that money. Even if the movie costs you $30, $40 to watch, that's still cheaper than spending $120 to go watch a live movie, or rather in the theater. So
Right.
I feel like the pandemic has just kind of expedited that process. And, I don't know if you heard, but there was an article out about how so many of the movie theaters are being turned into gaming places for gamers, for like individual gamers to just go and rent the freaking giant screen out and just sit there and play video games. But I feel like when it comes to stand-up comedy, stand-up comedy is just such a there, you're absolutely right. I don't think there is any replacement for live entertainment, whether it be comedy or music, right? Watching a concert on Netflix is not the same as being at the freaking concert.
Correct.
Nothing replaces the live experience, right? The live
Right.
experience is the jam. But I actually wanted to ask you, and it's interesting because James was saying the same thing, which is, how can any business survive at 15% capacity? So let's say tomorrow, Newsom comes out and tells, hey, you know what? You can open up a comedy club, but only at 15% capacity. Would you open it?
I would, but here's what I would do to counter that. You have more shows. You have more shows than you thought you were going to have, because now 15% capacity, do 3 shows a night. I mean,
Mhm.
if you can take advantage of what they're giving you every day. Do a show every day, three shows a day. If we had to, we would. There's no limit on how many shows you could do. But I think at 15% for us, we're only 150 seat capacity, which
Yeah.
is a club. So 15% isn't really that detrimental to us. It creates a little more of an intimate setting. But I think the larger clubs would be hard pressed to open their doors, because at a 600 seat capacity, what's 15%? 75
Nothing.
people in a 550 seat capacity venue.
Madness. It's madness.
Right. So I don't know if a lot of clubs will entertain that, but you'd have to work around it. I would say you'd want to open because you want to show that you're kind of ready for everybody. Because 15% is going to turn to 25%, and then
Mm-hmm.
50, then
Yes.
75.
Sure.
So I'd rather open the doors and get the vibe out than I'm just going to wait until it's at 100%. I'm just going to wait. You're going to wait a year?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Is that how long you think it's going to take to get it's going to take about a year to get to 100% capacity?
I think from where we're at, the vaccinations come into play.
Yeah.
The new COVID strain, right? The variant. We
Yeah.
don't really know what that's all about.
We do. I've had experts on here to come and talk about it. I had Dr. Sedora who's a professor at the University of Washington, and he broke the whole thing down to me. So he said that the media is using this terminology of like a variant, as they're calling it, and he goes, it's not as dangerous like the way the media makes it sound. Like they're like, oh my God, this new variant from Brazil or new variant from UK, and they're like, all it is the virus just adjusting to becoming a little bit more, a little bit more toxic. Like he's
Right.
like, for instance, the original virus, the original COVID-2 virus was where you were doing 6 feet of distancing and you had a mask on. Okay, you're not going to get it. Now, the variant, it's doing is basically you can still be 6 feet apart, okay, but it has 50% more chance of being transferred to you versus the first one. So it's just adjusting to survive. Just like any living organism, it's doing whatever it can to survive. So that's at least been my understanding from Dr. Sedora. Yeah.
Right. So
and the new vaccinations and the vaccinations we're getting, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And the vaccinations we have are absolutely built to make you immune to that. So you will not be affected by it.
right now, how do you feel about Texas and Florida just opening up the gates and saying, let's go, people?
Ridiculous. They could have just waited another 4 weeks. Ridiculous. You waited a fucking year. You could have waited another freaking 6 weeks. You know why he's doing that? You know why Governor Abbott's doing that, right? Governor Abbott fucked up. They were told time and time again, look, it's inevitable that we're going to be hit with a snowstorm. And when we do, we don't have the infrastructure to take care of it. Our pipes are going to be frozen. People are going to be abandoned. We don't have snowplows. You need to invest in the infrastructure. And Governor Abbott simply dismissed the idea, okay? And then it finally hit, okay? And Texans are fucking pissed. They're like, the heads are gonna roll. You didn't do your job. You were given a warning. You didn't do your fucking job. So Governor Abbott's like, and everybody's talking about recalling him, just like people in California are talking about recalling Newsom. So
Right.
Governor Abbott's like, what am I gonna do to save my ass? I am going to open up the entire state of Texas. So because people are frustrated, they want to go out, they want to party, they want to, I'm going to remove the mask mandate, which is really fucking troubling because he simply did that to save his own ass. He doesn't give a shit. Okay? Let's be very clear about that.
Right. And I know that some clubs in Texas are already active. Some comics here. I know Joe Rogan went to Texas to do a couple of shows.
He moved to Houston.
Yeah, he moved to Houston, right? Yeah. So I look, I think you have to be precautious and be prepared. I don't think the answer is to open the floodgates all at once because then you get a tsunami effect. So here in California, I think, okay, 15%, let's say ride it for a month. And let's say then we go to 25%, ride that for another month. So all these little months that we're going to ride to get to 100%, I mean, we could be at the end of the year by the time that happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, this Dr. Sedora that I had on, and he was a returning guest. He's fantastic. He had all these slides prepared, and he literally just broke it down exactly how, COVID came into existence and all that, and the vaccines. And the one point that he was making was, he was saying that by October, he said we will have 100% capacity comedy clubs. He
Okay.
predicted that. He predicted that
By October.
by October. He says by October, by November. He says October.
Barring any cataclysmic event that we can't foresee.
But yeah, exactly. Precisely. I mean, look, right now I was listening to Dr. Fauci today, and he was talking about the CDC guidelines and how they've adjusted, right? So Dr. Fauci said, look, you are looking at, there's different tiers that are opening up for different people to get vaccinated, right? So your people who are 65 plus, essential workers, immune compromised folks. But the one key thing that he was talking about was that the cases were like steeply going down, and now they're plateauing. So why are they plateauing? Because people are back out, not doing social distancing. Oh, we have vaccines. Oh, some people are vaccinated, some people aren't vaccinated, right? But majority of people are not freaking vaccinated, but people are not really doing the social distancing. So now the cases are plateauing again. They're not steeply going down. So that's the problem, John. That's the
Well,
problem.
I heard that they're saying that if you're vaccinated, they're going to allow indoor dining without masks in a very
Yeah.
small amount of people. I would say this. I mean, everybody should wear a bracelet that, is on you. If you've been vaccinated, you have to wear this bracelet, almost like at a concert. You can't. I think until this pandemic is over, how do we know who got vaccinated?
What people, what the conversation's happening right now is that they're asking people, countries are talking about having a COVID passport. There's going to be a paperwork that's going to be issued to you that's a passport that says, here you go, I've been vaccinated, this is the dates and this is the vaccine I got. Okay, here's our passport. But that is more for people getting on flights and flying internationally, right? Like Qantas Airlines, for instance, in Australia, they are making it mandatory that you have to be vaccinated before you get on their flight, period. They're not messing around, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I like the idea of the bracelet, but the bracelets have to come off. People have to shower, John.
Well, yes, I know that, but I don't know I would want to know who was vaccinated sitting next to me. If I saw someone, when you go to a concert, those bracelets that you can't take off, you can shop a plastic bracelet. Just wear it until the pandemic's over. We know you're vaccinated. You're done.
What if you take it off and you give it to your anti-vaxxer friend who doesn't want to wear it, who doesn't want to be vaccinated?
You're right. And what's to say somebody doesn't fraudulently make a passport themselves?
No, that you cannot, because that's going to be a government issued ID. You cannot replicate that. You can't make licenses at home. I mean, you can, but then you'll be able to tell the fake ones from the right ones.
No, right. But that seems to be a little bit of time ahead. I don't see us doing that too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're living in, show me you got vaccinated. We'll put you in an area. And that could happen in comedy clubs too. If we have a group of people that were vaccinated and they don't have to wear masks, but then you have another group of people next door to you that are wearing, then all of a sudden, don't you come into a little bit of an issue? Those who have and those who have not.
Right. And I wonder how that would play out, right? I wonder what are going to be the kind of guidelines for that. I mean, look, if you're doing outdoors, I wonder if people are going to start being asked to bring their vaccination papers, because when you get vaccinated, you get a little document that says you've been vaccinated. So I wonder if people are going to be like, hey, you get extra 10% off if you come in vaccinated and show us your little, giving people kind of incentive to be like, fuck, let me go get vaccinated. Like, I don't know. I feel like people are mostly motivated when there are, incentives tied to them.
Well, that brings up a good point. If you can show that you got vaccinated, you get in for half off. Right?
Yeah, sure.
And then you're like, oh, I can save $10. Let me go get vaccinated.
That's right.
There should be a little more of a push, because you can have vaccination shows. Only vaccinated people can come in,
But that's what the CDC came out and said. They said, look, if you have 100% of the people in a room who are fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear the mask. You're good.
Right.
You're good.
But it will make other people uncomfortable who don't know that they're vaccinated, right?
Right. So you would probably have to show your piece of paper saying, I have been vaccinated. Here you go. Everybody here, do you have your papers? Yes, I've been vaccinated. Great. Let's party.
Yeah, and I think that's still going to be a work in progress for people to get accustomed to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see it as a quick fix, but I think there's hope down the road that things will progress. But live comedy is like right now, it's building steam, right? People want to. It's like a cork coming out of a champagne bottle. They're
Yeah.
building a lot of steam for people to go out, back out. Look at the restaurants right now; they're packed.
That's right.
People,
Why do you think cases are plateauing?
right? True. So I think live comedy, though, will definitely be in line to be very lucrative of a destination place for people
Mm,
once they're allowed to. Once we're allowed to, I don't, you got to proceed with caution. But that's
I
why
do.
outdoor show,
Yeah.
which I think leads us into our next conversation, is, I think to get your audience excited, comedy has been kind of stirring under the table a little bit. And I
Yes.
think planning an outdoor show was just a matter of time. And I think what we're trying to do, with your help, is to put together a kick-ass show outdoors. People can
Yes.
smell fresh air, have a great night, eat, drink, enjoy a show. So we are, planning something in May 15th. If
Yes.
I'm
Yes. That's right.
It's in pencil.
It's
I
in
wouldn't say,
pencil.
yeah, it's in pencil.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think for your audience, stay tuned for more information that we can formally announce it. But we
Yes.
are
Because
cooking in the kitchen, aren't we?
we're cooking in the kitchen. The cooking is on. The burner is on, and we are cooking. And also, it's not just going to be a live show here. We're also gonna planning on live stream it online, so people who can't be in LA to watch it can watch it live stream.
Right. Anywhere you want to be, any state, any country, you'll be able to
That's right.
stream it. Because I think drive-in comedy, as an interesting idea as it was, I just think isn't inducive for comedy. It
No.
doesn't. I just don't think it works on a grand scale. You got to pay $100 and something to sit in your car. What if it's raining? You got to use your windshield wipers. You don't really have anything to eat or drink. You have to get out of your car and go somewhere to get it. Um, Look, it may work out for some people for some moments, but long term, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, no, long term, no, and long term, quite frankly, why would you? If people are, vaccinated, if systems are good, we have herd immunity. Why would we? Why would we? James here has a question. He said, "Will the state mandate sanitizing comedy rooms between shows?" I watched a fight night recently, and they were wiping down the ring after every fight.
Well, James, that's a really, really great question. I do have an answer. We've been in touch with the city of Bellflower on a weekly basis, in this LA City and LA County. And yes, our plan, we have a mandate in place, protocol for COVID. We have a commercial grade UV lights that would be used over tables and chairs to kill COVID. We have sanitizing misting that would be sprayed into the showroom.
Yeah,
Uh, we've got a lot of things in place that would be sanitizing the tables, the chairs, the carpet, the restrooms, anywhere a patron would be between shows is going to be sanitized. So yes, that is a must.
okay. Okay. I mean, and so let's say, John, that you guys are now open at 100% capacity. You think they're still gonna keep that sanitizing mandate thing? What do you think?
I think for a little while, I think it's a good practice because you know how it is. I mean, the minute they say, okay, we're all good to go, there's probably some people lingering with COVID that don't know they have it, right?
That's right.
Um, and I would say it would probably go on for maybe 2 to 3 more months more until
Mhm.
the CDC or the states at B that can say, oh, yeah, we have zero COVID problems now. We're good to go. But I think it's going to still be in place. Look at the restaurants. When you leave the table, what do? They bust the table, they clean the chairs. They're doing it now. Now you just have to do one extra step of sanitizing it with
Right.
a cleaner or a wipe or what have you. So I can see as a grand scheme, even like at the Hollywood Bowl. How are they
Yeah.
going to imagine them?
That's a
How are you going
big
to
undertaking.
all seats and after a show or between shows, right?
Well, but Hollywood Bowl only does one show a
One
night.
show,
Yeah.
right? And if you said the Greek theater, let's say you threw in the Pantages, they
Yeah.
have shows, musicals in one night. Don't they do two shows a night, possibly?
Possibly.
But I'm just saying on a grand scale, I wonder what their mandates are going to be because that's going to be pretty challenging. For
Yeah.
us, it's all about training the staff, making sure everybody is aware of what they have to do, make the patron comfortable. And for the comics too, we have to sanitize the green room, sanitize the mics, because the mics are being held on every show. There's a lot of things in place for both the performer and the patron that we have to be cognizant about. So
Yeah.
we're definitely going to go above and beyond because I, as a patron, wouldn't want to say, well, I'm coming into this club. How do I know these seats are? So little stickers, little table tents.
Yeah.
Your table has been sanitized. Your seat has been sanitized. We're going to do all those things because I want to
Mm.
feel comfortable coming in, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But John, what about bathrooms? Like, do bathrooms have to be constantly sanitized? How does that work?
Well, they should have been to begin with. I mean, one place that is the breeding ground for bacteria are restrooms, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, how do we
Yeah.
know people wash their hands when they leave the restroom? Hello? Yeah.
Gross.
So there are things in the restrooms, there's sanitizers in the restrooms. There's a lot of things that we're going to put in place that when people are washing their hands, signage, from the
Yeah.
CDC, making
Yeah.
sure people, when they leave, we're going to do our part to make sure that whoever uses the restroom is going to be able to be clean when they leave.
Right.
It's
Right.
up to them to do it. We can't force them. Have
Right.
a armed guard at the door, making
Wash
sure
your
they
hands
wash their hands,
for
right?
animal.
Right. But we got to make sure that everything is really there for them to
Yeah.
feel safe,
Right.
coming out. One of the things about restrooms always had me thinking is you wash your hands, you dry them, and then you got to grab the handle of the door. Now, how do you know that handle of the door is clean?
I never grab the handle. I always have a napkin or I always have like a paper towel
Right.
too.
But there's that
Every
thought.
time.
Right. There's
Every
that
time.
thought. How do you know who
Yeah.
touched the door?
Right. Exactly. That's why I mean, so wait, are you planning on having a person in the bathroom who's going to constantly be sanitizing? No,
Not ballet. No. We
not
are
valid.
between shows. Someone will go into the restrooms and sanitize the restroom with a fogger, and that's why we have the fogger because you can go in there and basically blow this sanitizing fogger into the restroom, and it will spread the sanitizer all over the bathroom.
Really?
Yeah, very cool technology with the mister. It's a fogger. And then the UV light, it's pretty big, like a 4-foot UV light, commercial grade. And we can go over anything with that UV light. You go over it, it's going to kill
The
COVID.
bacteria.
Special glasses for it. But
Wow.
we're taking into consideration multiple steps to make sure that everybody feels safe.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
that's what we're going to do. So.
I mean, John, I think everything you're saying and everything. I mean, I feel safe, right? I'm just listening to you, and as if I was to go to and be a patron at your club, I mean, I would feel safe because I'm just like, wow, this person is really taking all the precautions. They really care, like they really want to do everything right. So no, I appreciate that a lot. John, what do you think is gonna happen to stand up comedy? I mean, do you think we're gonna go back to a place where we had like packed rooms, intimate rooms? I mean, do you think that there's going to be some kind of a mandate where even if people get vaccinated and even if though we are doing social distancing, now they're going to ask like club owners like yourself, comedy club owners, to be like, hey, we need you to put a giant shield on the freaking stage so when the comedian's talking their spit, it's like airborne or and it's not going to go into the person that's like sitting right by the stage? You think they're going to do something like that?
I don't foresee that. If things were getting really, really bad, I could see them possibly doing that. But if we had to pull, like we have seats around the stage, okay? If in the beginning, we probably will take that away because you do want to have some distance
Uh-huh.
from the comic to the patron. So I think once we're out of this pandemic and, let's say the comics got vaccinated, they have proof. We need to show, hey, did you get vaccinated? You need to show us proof before we book you,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, wow.
Think of
Mm-hmm.
that for a moment on that side. So we want to make sure that, let's say there's 3 or 4 comics in the green room and maybe only 2 of them got vaccinated and the other 2 didn't. Wouldn't that be a little bit weary?
Yeah, for
Would,
sure.
would you feel uncomfortable?
I would. Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking my mask off if there's a unvaccinated comic sitting next to me.
Right, right. And I just want to be able, it's a good selling point to the
I'm just
patrons.
gonna I'm just gonna kick them out of the green room. I'll be like, go sit in the cold outside.
Right, right. But I mean, isn't it a selling point to the audience as well? All the comics have been vaccinated for the show tonight.
Huge. It's a
Right,
huge deal.
right. It's a huge deal, and people feel more comfortable versus I don't want to sit too close anymore. I don't want
Right.
to get anything if this guy is sick. So, we're now talking and we're bringing up points that actually matter. So, somewhere down the road, I think performers are going to need to show that they've been vaccinated. Because look at how about the pits at the live shows, music, the
Yeah.
orchestra. That's a
Yeah.
little, that's a little chill. That's really close. And
Right.
clubs, you're right up close to the stage. I think people are going to be a little apprehensive to sit too close if they feel like the comic isn't vaccinated.
Right. I mean, John, I also think in terms of, Netflix, when they do their specials, when they tape their specials with the comedians, right? Those
Mhm.
rooms are pretty freaking packed, right? Those rooms are pretty packed. So,
They are.
uh, is Netflix then not gonna do any not gonna shoot any Netflix specials until the pandemic's over? Or they're just gonna have like 10 people or 20 people who laugh really hard in a 200 seater. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, that's hard. That's a good question. I don't know how they do it, or did they film it before? What precautions did they do? Did they vaccinate everybody before did they vaccinate the audience before everybody sat down? I don't know, but a major production like that, I think probably had it figured out prior to the show being taped because I'm sure they wouldn't want to do anything that causes harm to anybody.
Right.
But the live comedy shows, there are going to be some challenges, both from the performer
Mm.
side and the patron side, to make sure. Because, like at a movie theater, you're not worried that the screen is vaccinated, right?
Right.
And maybe the waiter that's serving you, you're concerned, but they're wearing a shield, right? They have a shield on.
Mhm.
Performers to the audience, they feel safe when they're at a show. And now with COVID, how are we going to make the audience feel safe? We're going to have to think about making sure that the comics are vaccinated. I think
Right.
that's going to be a big push. I really
Right.
do.
Right. That the COVID, the community. I mean, and that's gonna go to the tier system that they have right now, right? So, for instance, like Dr. Fauci today was talking about how they're changing the CDC guideline that if you're pregnant or you're like breastfeeding, you're part of the tier 1. You have to go. You can go get vaccinated. But I have a coworker of mine, a neighbor of mine. He's a dear friend. He works in, he's a food worker. He's a server in a very fancy schmancy restaurant in Beverly Hills, and he had to go get jabbed. Like he has to go because he's an essential worker. So I wonder how like. I think, John, that when they just open it up, but they're like, all right, like today they ordered 100 million vaccines from Johnson and Johnson. But once they open it up, I mean, I think it's gonna get packed really, really quickly. What do you think? Like, you're not
I
gonna be able to find appointments.
I agree with you. I think the cat's ready to jump out of the bag, right? The pressure could
People are
it's going to
people
pop,
are done, man. People are, especially people with kids. I mean, what?
right?
Wow. That is a challenge all by itself.
You can't go backwards now. Now, if there was another surge, I don't think there's a way to get people to stay at home anymore. It's going to be
Yeah.
It's tough, but I think you're right. I think once we're allowed to have shows, people are going to flock.
Yeah.
They want to
Yeah.
go out and have a good time. It's like we're predicated on our freedoms here in the United States, and now we were told, no, you can't do that, can't do
Yeah.
that. And I
Yeah.
think we're itching. We're social bugs, right? We're social
Yes.
citizens in
That's right.
this great United States, and I think comedy will flourish. We're gonna imagine how much more material these performers are gonna have on just the last year and a half,
I
right?
have a lot of material. I wrote a ton of shit.
Been sitting and writing. This is actually, if you think about it, it's been um, nurturing comedy because while you've been away, you're just writing.
Oh, it's been great. It's been great. John, I have my first stand-up special that I'm like like already like halfway done writing it out, right? I mean, I'm really actually that's not true. I actually have two Netflix, specials worth of content written out. I'm just trying to figure out what's going to go in the first one. So this has been a really, really nurturing time for me. I mean, this, John. I mean, I'm a workaholic, so
You
I've been
are.
working on, I'm working on multiple projects right now. So it doesn't, I wasn't going to waste a second of this pandemic.
No, and you haven't. I mean,
Yeah.
you are the hardest working uh, producer, actor, comic in the business. I mean, you don't rest. I think you hover. You don't sleep, right? You,
I don't. I don't.
you
I wake up with coffee and I go to sleep with weed. And in
yeah,
between all that, I am working and hustling, man.
right. So if you yourself are having this opportunity to write really good material,
Yeah.
to add to your sets, it's going to create a brand new environment for new material. People want to go out and hear about all the stuff that happened to people inside their homes and their take on the political satire of the election that we just went through. There's so much built up material that's just waiting to come out on stage. And I think that's great for the patrons. They're going to be, gifted with so much new material.
Yep. John, I mean, this is your first comedy club, right? That you've
Yeah.
ever owned.
Yep.
And I mean, as a brand new comedy club owner whose, opening of the club has been significantly delayed, I mean, not to get in your finances, but I'm just wondering, like, how much of a financial hit have you taken because of COVID?
It's been a challenge, as I'm sure everybody can attest to,
Yeah.
especially when we're building it, right? We were in the middle of construction when the pandemic hit. Our
Yeah.
contractors were affected, our permits were affected. It really hit us where, oh my God, I mean, we've got to figure out a way to finish this.
Right.
So it was a challenge. It definitely was, but I feel good that we didn't have to lay anybody off. We didn't have to fire anybody. We didn't have
Okay.
to put people out of work. I like that opportunity. But yeah, challenging was definitely an issue because there were things that we couldn't control. We had
Mhm.
contractors that said, I don't feel safe coming to work. I am not going to Home Depot to get wood. I'm not going to work on your electrical because I'm staying at home. It's a stay at home order. So there were and a lot of the things that we were buying online out of stock. We're out of stock.
Wow.
Everybody's buying them.
Wow. Wow.
So if they're out of stock, now you got to wait and wait and wait and wait, and then back
Wow.
orders, low, no inventory. So the pandemic created other challenges for us to outsource things that we needed for the club,
Mhm.
but we're almost through the weeds. We're like 99.9% there right
Yeah.
now. It definitely, we didn't anticipate not being open right now. We thought we were going to be open in January.
Yeah. I mean, John, how much toilet paper do you have stashed away is what I want to know.
I didn't stash. Here's the thing: the hysteria of paper towels and toilet paper
Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
was, I enjoyed watching people like running out of Costco with like two shopping carts filled with paper towels or toilet paper. And I'm like, dude, you're just helping Kroger or you're just helping Costco out. What are you doing? So we didn't really have that big of a problem for my wife and I, but it was just funny looking at the hysteria that the media created and
Yeah.
people fed off that. And it was
Yeah.
dangerous too, because there were people fighting. In the
Yeah.
beginning, they were hoarding all the supplies. Some people got hurt.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, if you're an elderly person or you're immune compromised, you can't go and like fight your way into freaking Costco. You have like, you're vulnerable. Like, you don't have that ability to do that. And, honestly, John, I think it also revealed this kind of, I'm sad to say, like this ugly part of our culture and our society, that there is this level of greed where people don't give a fuck about others, where they're just like, let me just get mine. Let me get mine. And it's just like, where is that? I mean, what was like right before this live stream started, you and I were talking about what was that one clinic where people went and just signed up. They were trying to jump the line.
Jump.
They were trying to jump the line, and they were like, fuck this. They shut the whole clinic down. They were like, you're all these young people, essential workers, 65 plus, are not getting vaccinated. You're cutting in line. We're just going to shut the whole thing down. I mean,
Right.
it's just, it's just the level of selfishness that this pandemic has revealed of how people behave under a pandemic, and rather than being compassionate and kind to help other people, people are just about, let me just get mine. It's like, you're young, your immune system is fine. Help somebody else out.
I agree with you, but you know what? In dire straits, humanity can show and rear an ugly side to us all, right?
Hmm.
It's about the me. You say Me Too movement, but it's always about me too, right? Me, you as an individual are always looked at first. I got to survive. I'm looking out for
Sure,
myself.
sure.
But it should be us too movement, not the Me Too movement, right?
I agree. I mean, look, I think if anything, this pandemic has taught us is like we need to think more about us too rather than just me too in that sense, right? I mean, John, how much toilet paper? Not having enough toilet paper is not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you.
Right. Well, if you had a family of 4 or 6, I can see the need. Oh my God, we got to get some before they're all out because then we're just not going to have any toilet paper. I get it.
Use the bidet. We've been using it. Brown people have been using the bidet
Right.
forever, John.
You're right, but I also blame the retail stores for allowing what somebody can buy 20 packages of toilet paper. Okay, so there's hoarding going on. The markets didn't care because they're making money. So I think there should have been a little bit of a limit to per family,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that wasn't going on. So that they created the problem too, hoarding.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, look, capitalism, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what our country is about. It's capitalism. It's about making the dollars and cents. John, what do you think? A lot of the bigger comics, I know. I mean, nobody's really touring except for if you go to like Texas and you go to whatever. Somebody was saying, oh, they're touring in Oklahoma or wherever, right? Cities or states where they're just like, we don't believe in science, and you're like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, totally. Just don't believe in science. Like, hey, we don't have polio for a reason. It's called the vaccine. That's why we don't have the Black Plague anymore. We don't have because of the vaccines. But people don't somehow can't really grasp that concept. But what do you think, John? Do you think like once things do start, I mean, let's say, John, for you, like as far as the overhead goes, if they come out and say, hey, listen, you know what, for the next 6 months, it's going to be 25% capacity. That's it. So you're like, all right, fine. We're just going to up the game in our shows. We're just going to have 3 shows rather than 2 shows every day.
I would do whatever we can to maximize our potential to have shows, bring people in. Let's say you had a couple hundred people that wanted to go out, but you can only have what is it, 35 to 40 people per show. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you really want to help, you do 3 shows a night, and those shows are going to be maybe a little more abbreviated, right? So instead of doing a 90-minute show, you do 60-minute shows, and now
Mm-hmm.
you're able to really do 3 shows a night. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
break it down a little bit to offer more, to give people the more opportunity to go out. I think that's one way of adjusting to it in the beginning.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
what do you think of that?
I like it. I think I like that idea. I like the idea of just having, more shows. So rather than doing just like you said, a 90-minute show, which is what you and I are planning on doing, on May 15th is but that's more of an outdoor show, right? We're talking about a capacity of what, 130, 140 people,
Right.
socially distant, because we have ginormous space in the, back of the comedy club. It's just huge, amazing space, and we can actually do, a big setting there. So no, I agree with you on that. I 100% agree. I just hope that we're not gonna run into these anti-vaxxer assholes who are gonna be like, you need to let me in your comedy club, it's my god-given, it's the First Amendment. And you're like, dude, chill, get in the back of the fucking line. Just get in the back of the goddamn line.
Yeah, that's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be a few rambunctious patrons. Um, but you got to treat everybody with respect and understand that everybody's needs and desires are different than everybody else's. No, we're not all clones.
Yeah,
But I think, remember, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few,
I
right?
agree. Yeah,
Sponsor. Or
yeah,
so I think overall, when it comes time for that, we'll figure it out.
yeah, yeah, I agree. James said, I wonder how many people will simply hold back and wait and see how the COVID recovery goes. Yeah, that's a very valid point.
I think there's going to be a lot of conservative people that don't want to come out into the forefront right away. They're going to say, you know what? I want to hold back. I want to wait and see how things go before I go out and do stuff myself. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there's going to be a lot of conservative people not looking to go out. Look at where the workforce, right? Remote, everyone's remote working, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
going to change how business is done because now a lot of companies are saying our people are doing better remotely than they would be
Yeah,
working inside a facility.
sure.
So I think that's changed a little bit. But for people, I do believe there's going to be a percentage of people that aren't going to feel comfortable going to a live show until the media, maybe there's more proof, more data
Yeah,
to prove to them, yeah, it's safe now. We're good to go. But there's going to be
right.
a lot of conservative people. I think older people are going to be very weary, right?
Yeah,
Seniors,
yeah. And you have an older folk facility across the street from you guys, don't you?
we do. We've been very fortunate. They've been very welcoming, great. They can't wait. Um, but again, they're in a high risk kind of
Yeah,
and we need to make sure that our facility is as safe as possible. And we wouldn't want to put anybody in harm's way. But that's why it kind of leads into everything, right? We need to get vaccinated as people working there. The performers need to get vaccinated who are on stage. That'll make the patrons feel confident. And I might even make something of a sticker on their shirts of our work staff. I've been vaccinated.
yeah.
I think
What if you just get stamps and you just stamp it?
you could, I'm just trying to think. You as a patron sitting down, and some waiter or waitress comes to you and it says, "I've been vaccinated." Would you feel a little bit
Safe?
easier? Would you?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So I think those are steps to look at and say, hey, what can we do to make
Mm,
people feel even that more confident? They'll still wear their mask or their shield, but we're going to really push to make sure that our staff are vaccinated. Even
sure,
myself, you know.
sure, sure. Have you gotten vaccinated yet, Joe?
Have not. I'm not in that tier. I'm not.
Yeah.
You got to be either at a certain age, be a general in the military, or invent, the head of Tesla. You know, I,
You
I,
mean the rich? You mean the rich and the wealthy who cut in line? Is that what you're
I
referring
didn't
to?
say that. I didn't say that. I'm just saying, though, as a whole, we as the general public, which I think we
Yeah.
are, right? We're
Yeah.
GP.
Yes.
So the
Cheap.
GP have to wait until it's, hey, come on in, guys. Now we're ready for you.
Yeah.
So when will that be? I hope before Memorial Day.
Yeah. Yeah, before Memorial Day. I'm hoping that when I have Dr. Sadora on, like I mentioned to you, professor from the University of Washington and Seattle Research Institute,
Right.
And he was very confident. He was really really confident in what he expressed. He said, I'm saying that the comedy clubs are going to open up at 100% capacity in October. So
Talking California or nationwide?
across nationwide.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a good
he's talking
sign.
nationwide.
That's
Yeah,
good. So October, yeah, that seems doable. Just dependent upon
yeah,
cooperation, and we all
yeah.
have to cooperate with each other, right?
That's
City,
right.
state,
That's right.
county, everybody needs to do their part. I think the sooner we can do our part to make the facility safe, will then create other opportunities for people to do their part. I just think, as a whole, right now, all comedy clubs across the US need to have a plan in place. Like, if you've been a club for 20, 30 years,
Yeah,
well, maybe we got to change out some of the old furniture. Maybe we need to redo the carpet. Maybe we need to do a lot more in the restrooms to make it clean. It's so dirty or
yeah.
dingy. There, a lot of these clubs really haven't done much to
Upgraded.
change their up. Yeah, so maybe now it's been, hey, you know what? Let's do it. It's a
Yeah,
perfect opportunity while they're dark to
yeah.
reassess themselves and say, we're going to do something to make people feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. You think, John, it's gonna be that we're gonna reach a time now where, where comedians, like especially like headliners, what if you have headliners coming in and saying, hey, you know what, I'm pulling in all this crowd, but I haven't been vaccinated. I mean, as a club owner, would you feel comfortable having them come in? How would you feel?
That's a great question, and I think those are one of the things that we won't know until it happens. Right?
Mm-mm.
There's a lot of things that we can't anticipate, right?
Yeah.
How would people react? You tell a comic, hey man, you know what? You got to get vaccinated or what have you. It's going to be very difficult to control that. But I guess it just depends on the person, and it depends on the environment. We got
Mhm.
Everyone has to do their part. I don't know. I don't think the comics are going to be anti-vaccine. I think they're going to want to feel safe, because if they're traveling on a plane to
Yeah.
different venues, how are they going to
Yeah.
get on a plane if they're not vaccinated?
I have come across a few comics who are absolutely anti-vaxxing, and I was pretty shocked to see that. I was like, "You're a comic, like you're not about getting vaccinated." They're like, "No, other people can go get jabbed, and other people can go see and get vaccinated." I'm like, "Yeah, about you're talking about between 12 to 13% of the population in America has already been vaccinated. You're not seeing deaths because of it. Some people have sore arms, some people are getting fever. Some people are feeling very tired because of it. Those are just temporary symptoms, but it's way better than friggin' having COVID that will permanently damage your body, you know?"
Right. And again, if comics who travel, whether it's by car or by plane, they're going to feel the need to get vaccinated, because some states, some airports are not going to allow you to come in unless you've been vaccinated.
Yes.
Just saying, it's
Yeah.
going to create a bigger problem. You're better off getting it, and that way you have a passport to go anywhere you want. Uh,
Yeah.
so again, I think it'll solve itself.
Yeah.
Comics would want to get vaccinated because they're touring. How are you going to go on tour with your group if you're not vaccinated?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, how long do you think that's going to take for the touring to pick back up? That's going to be a bit.
Going to be another challenge. Airports, planes, other venues. But I think all the states that have opened up, like Florida and Texas, right now, seem to be the hotbed of, hey, let's go to
Shocking.
Florida, let's go to Texas.
Shocking.
Yeah, well, we'll see. There might be some repercussions to all this down the road, which we don't know. But
You know what bothers me, John, is that look, Governor Abbott of Texas has just been like, open everything, no mask mandate. And thank God for a lot of the Texans. I don't know about a lot, but there's definitely a percentage of Texans who are just like, look, we are gonna wear our masks. We are gonna do our social distancing. I don't give a fuck what Governor Abbott is saying. I'm not getting sick and I'm not gonna go make people sick, right? Which is a good thing. Florida, that's another friggin' story. They're not really giving a shit, much there either. But I'm just wondering how, these, you have people in Texas and Florida getting infected and then bringing it to other states. So it's just like, how do
right.
you stop that shit? How do you stop it?
That's on a state level, and I can't answer that question. I mean, the governors can't figure it out. How can we? Uh, I just think it's going to be a reoccurring issue until the vaccines are in. And
Yeah.
I think the vaccines will solve the problem. People get over it. There's no more deaths. We're eventually getting better. I think it'll solve its own problem.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you, Jim. I agree with you. Well, I'm very excited about our upcoming show that we are going
Yeah,
to announce
right.
soon. We're going to officially announce because we're in the middle of working out the details. Most of the details have been worked out, but
Hmm.
May 15th, you guys, you want to mark your calendars. May 15th is when it's going down. Finally, we're doing our John, would you consider this a debut show for the stand up comedy club?
I would. We're allowed to have a show outdoors. It's going to be under our flag. It's an extension of the club already, so I'd say yes. I say yes. It's something. It's like giving a taste test to people to have comedy in Bellflower, right? It's kind of a
Yeah.
stepping stone to get inside the club. So yeah, I definitely think so. And again, if if we're still at 15% for let's say a couple of months and we're allowed to do outdoor shows in a grand
Yeah.
scheme, we'll continue doing it. If the public wants it, we're
Yeah.
still going to. So outdoor
Yeah.
shows could be a great opportunity
Yeah.
multiple times.
Right, right. No, I 100% agree with you. I mean, my thing is that when I do my shows, they tend to be a little bit more of a concert field. It almost it's like a giant party, right? Like
Right.
people come and they don't want to leave, and which is I love that. I love them getting drunk and then taking Uber home. I love that. It makes me very happy, and of course, it fills up our pockets too. So that's really
Oh,
helpful.
right. And we want to give people the idea that hey, comedy's coming back. It never left. We're here. And I
Yeah,
think we're just going to try to do like having our training wheels on, right? Let's get a
yeah,
show going, get people antiquated and comfortable, and then boom, we hit them with an indoor show right after that. So I'm excited about it. I think a lot of people are going to be excited, especially your followers and people who want to come to Bellflower to enjoy an outdoor show. I think it's exciting. So
yeah. Me
I'm
too.
all
Me too,
for
John.
it.
I'm very excited. So, John Giries, always a pleasure chatting with you, my friend.
Thank you, as you as well, and we can't wait for your episode on the rookie to come out.
Yes, the rookie. It's funny because on Twitter, I was scrolling through on Twitter, and then I saw my face pop up, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Is that my face?" And then I found out today that my episode is the kickoff episode for third season. So I'm very excited.
That's really cool. We'll be watching, and I hope the rest of America watches as well. It's well deserved for a hardworking artist as yourself.
Thank you very much, John Gears. I appreciate it. Would you like people to people can go and follow at what the Stand Up Mag?
Yeah, our Instagram is my stand up underscore club. They can log on to the standupclub.com is our website, which will be up very soon. You can catch us on Twitter and on Facebook as well. But we're always showing on Instagram up our progression, getting people kind of excited. So we hope a lot of people follow us.
All right, awesome. Well, John Gears, you're awesome, and I will see you soon, my friend.
Thank you again, Mona. Good
Thank
night.
you. Okay, good night. That was the awesome John Giries of the Stand Up Comedy Club. That is going to be officially doing its debut show with us, Minority Report's comedy show, come May 15th. Details are going to be following probably next week. We will be officially putting out all the details out, so you guys keep an eye out for it. Thank you very much for tuning in, as always. If you can follow me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Mona Shaikh Comedian for all my latest content and daily live streams 5 days a week. You can also follow me on TikTok and Facebook at Mona Shaikh Comedian. Also on Instagram and Twitter at Mona's Comedy. You guys have a good evening. I will see you tomorrow. Stay safe out there. Wear your masks.